up with Rickard Rydell. This year, he is joining Vauxhall. Alongside him, Tom Christensen. Tom is joining Honda. He drove for Honda last year, in fact, in Germany. He's a Le Mans winner, and he's really a dark horse. Gabriele Tarquini in the other Honda. Great to have Gabriele back. He was the 94 champion. 94, he drove for Alfa Romeo. Last year, he did some Honda work as well. Jason Plato, another colourful character. Flamboyant off the track and on. He's really going to be in the thick of things, starting where he is in the second of the Vauxhall. First of the Fords, Anthony Reid. He drove last year for Ford alongside Alain Menu. Now, Alain was a little bit quicker than Anthony Reid last year, so he's really got his work cut out for him. Now, there's James Thompson, the guy I've been tipping to win the championship, but he is further back than he'd really want to be. On the third row of the grid, not ideal for James Thompson. Matt Neal, the giant-killing independent. Once again, here he is, second row of the grid. He really should be someone to watch for because he's got one of the winning Nissans from last year. Aiello's car really should be the car to beat early on the series. Ivan Muller, the lead Vauxhall. Ivan Muller, terrifically fast. He is the only regular Vauxhall driver from last year and should be the class of that field. Now, on the front row of the grid, we have Rickard Rydell driving one of the Fords, and next to him, Alain Menu in the second of the Fords. First, Rickard Rydell. You must be very, very pleased, Rickard. Front row, first time out for Ford.
It's good. I mean, I joined the team this winter, and we've done a lot of testing. So I'm really pleased ProDrive and Ford has got it right, and we're both here on the front of the grid, so it's nice.
Yeah, it's a very big change from last year, isn't it?
It is. I mean, last year I was driving the Volvo and managed to finish third in the championship, and I didn't know what to expect this year, but I've been really pleased so far with the Ford. It's done really, really well, and I'm glad that we're all up here, and I'm glad to be on the pace of Alan and Anthony as well.
Yeah, very, very competitive. Best of luck. Well, as you can see, one of the things we've noticed about all this is that we've actually got three works cars. Alan and Anthony, he mentioned, because we got Alain Menu on pole position for Ford, Anthony Reid and Rickard Rydell. So 3 cars per team, and also this championship never failing to surprise us, a new track for this series as well. This is the view of the full Brands Hatch circuit. More of that in a minute, but we start as per normal. Start-finish line here, first corner, Paddock Hill bend, very tricky, dip down. Druids corner, very tight left-hander. Remember, after the start, always one to watch for. Down to bottom bend, hard left-hander, then across and behind the pits. And a real treat of this weekend is that for the first time in years, the touring cars are coming to the Grand Prix circuit. What that means is that when we get to here, rather than going straight through the S's and back around through Clearway's corner to the start, cars turn left. This corner, Surtees, takes them out onto the back of the circuit. Now we picked them up under the bridge. This is the fastest part of the circuit, pushing 140 miles an hour. Drop a gear through Hawthorne's corner, then up to the second really fast corner. By the time the cars get to here, Westfield behind me, they are absolutely steaming. They're coming through there pushing 100 miles an hour, rocking on their suspensions. It's a double apex right-hander. Then they land down in this dip, have to sort themselves out for Dingle Dell. This is the craziest corner in British motor racing. It's not a corner, it's a leap of faith. Look at it. It's a blind brow. Over the top of the brow, the drivers somehow have to sort the car out and turn right. They aim and fire, hope they land in the right place, and on a quick lap, they're actually airborne. When they've recovered from Dingle Dell, it's the last left-hander, Sterling, then on the power, down the hill under the bridge, and through Clearways to pick up a full lap. It's been a few years now since we've been treated to the spectacle of the touring cars here at the Grand Prix circuit, and I guess a couple of years more than that, Waddy, since you had another flog round of this.
Charlie, I walked into the paddock, discovered this M29 McLaren. I raced in the 1980 British Grand Prix in this car. I can't say it was particularly memorable, but it's great to see these old cars out being raced on what is really still an old Grand Prix circuit.
It must have been terrifying racing this around the Grand Prix circuit.
Do you know why? Because I can put my hand out and touch the front wheel. Now, in current cars, you're a long way from it. That's, to me, what's scary.
Especially Dingle Dell.
Well, Dingle Dell, in fact, Dingle Dell's a lot easier in some respects today than it was at that particular time. Westfield's been changed also, as has Bottom Bend. So there's been a bit of change around Brands Hatch over the last 2 or 3 years. But basically, it's still the same old Grand Prix circuit that was last used in '86 for a Grand Prix.
And I guess for the touring cars, it was something like mid-90s that we had those boys here last, and some of them haven't really driven this circuit.
No, but one man who has, Alain Menu, the last time they were here was '96, and he had a very good day. In fact, I think he won both the races. And he's on pole position for the feature race this afternoon, so Menyu's going to be feeling very comfortable and probably very at home.
Well, feeling comfortable is one thing, but winning is another. Let's have a look at who the drivers would put their money behind this year.
Rickard Weidel, Menu, Ivan, Honda, Ford or Vauxhall, and any of the drivers in it.
I think my friend Thompson.
I think it's just far too close to call.
I would certainly choose Matt to win the title this year.
Ivan. If I had to tip somebody, then it's got to be me. Yeah.
Trying to pick a winner out of that lot is as difficult as I've seen it. 3 works cars per team. On top of that, you've got 3 former champions, 2 of them in the same team in Ford, and changed regulations as well. That all combines to make this year's championship as competitive as you like. But to try to make some sense of it all, here's our guide to the runners and riders. At Vauxhall, Ivan Muller has 2 new teammates, Jason Plato and Vincent Rademacher. Muller loves this year's car, and he should be the man to beat.
The car is much better this year. We have improved a lot the chassis and the engine as well.
Most competitive shot for Vauxhall for a few years?
For a few years, maybe, yeah. Definitely more competitive than last year.
Where's the big change?
Everywhere. We have changed everything. The mechanical stuff and the aero stuff as well. We have changed. I don't think there is many things from last year on the car.
Jason Plato joins from the now departed Renault team and Vincent Rademacher from Volvo. Now, they're both quick, but both at a disadvantage because they're the new boys. Over at Honda, James Thompson is the only regular from last year, and he should be the favourite, although he reckons it won't be easy.
Yeah, it's looking very close, particularly with the addition of the weight penalties. It's going to even everybody out through the season, so I don't think you're going to see one runaway leader at all this year like we've had in the previous year. So it's going to be very close. Require a bit of cunning and a bit of guile, I think.
Tomo is joined by Danish ace Tom Christensen. He's a Le Mans winner and could be the dark horse. And crowd favourite, 94 winner Gabriele Tarquini, he's back for another shot at the title too. At Ford, star-studded is the best description of the lineup. Menu and Rydell are former champions, and Alain reckons he's hot.
I've just been fastest in the last Oka test before qualifying, and the Monday has been very quick everywhere we've been so far. I've been in the first 2 every time, so it's looking very good for this season.
But the limelight's going to be crowded with this guy around as well. And don't forget Anthony Reid. He was runner-up in '98, but this year he's really got work to do. And in the independent championship, this man in particular, Matt Neal, he could actually win the championship outright, but reckons his tactics will have to be different.
It requires a different way of driving than I've always done. You know, I've always had the instructions from my team, and I've always enjoyed going balls out. You know, every race, just let's go for it, treat it one race at a time. And I did that last year, and it paid off for a bit, but then we slipped back, and as the development of the new cars came on. But I suppose if you look at it on paper, we have got a chance with restricted testing and all that. I don't like to get overconfident, so I'm saying I don't know.
I know, we haven't said who's going to win yet. Well, I'm going to jump off the fence straight away and say this guy, James Thompson. If for no other reason than he's really overdue to win, and we know he's fast as well. But that's only my view. What about the Oracle, John Watson?
Charlie, well, I've had a look at the career successes of the current touring car drivers here. And the man who's most successful is Alain Menu with 30 career wins. Second is Rickard Rydell, and I think if you take those two as being the leaders of the pack this year, I'm going to go for Rickard Rydell. He's Mr. Consistent, and he's also a real team player, whereas Alain Menu, who's a great racer, but tends to be a little bit, when he's in the middle of the pack, unpredictable, and also maybe seem to be slightly political as well. So Rickard Rydell is going to be my choice. But let's just look at the cars as they make their way around this Grand Prix circuit at Brands Hatch. And they're coming down through Graham Hill Bend. It's 3rd gear, then up to 4th gear as they go along Cooper Straight, grab 5th, and then quickly on the brakes, back down into 3rd gear, and they come up into Surtees. This is the corner that takes the cars out onto the Grand Prix circuit. And there you see them climbing out of Surtees, 3rd gear, 4th, 5th, into 6th gear as they come to Pingle Drop. And just after that, then they begin to climb up Hawthorne Hill. At that point, 220 kilometers per hour. Grab 5th gear, just dab the brakes, then round Hawthorne Bend, all the way down Derrick Minster Straight. And then at the end of that straight, just quickly on the brakes, down to 4th gear into Westfield, that double right-hander. Grab 5th and then 6th just as you come up through Dingle Dell. And this surely is the most spectacular part of the Brands Hatch Grand Prix circuit. Back into 4th gear, for Dingledale, up to 5th again, then quickly down all the way into 3rd. Looking at Stirling's Bend, 3rd gear corner that's very important because the exit of this corner leads down all the way down to Clearways. We're on board here with Jason Plato in his first season in the Vauxhall, and coming down into the final corner, the critical Clearways corner, approaching in 6th gear, about 200 kilometers per hour, down to 4th gear. Car gets light over the crest, drifts all the way out to the very edge, and then cut back again to complete the corner, and then come up 5th gear, 6th gear across start finish line. And Charlie, first time we've seen them here in the Grand Prix circuit for a long time. It's going to be a stunning race.
Yeah, it looks very much to be the advantage of those who've done it before. I'll talk about climbing now. Our commentary boxes don't get any lower as the years go on, but we've got an excellent view down through Bottom Bend there. That's part of the original circuit, the short circuit if you like, but I can't wait to watch them flying out of the back of the circuit as well. Alain Menu looking so supremely confident, and you can tell because he's got pole position. Ricard Rydell right alongside him, and as you can see, more than a tenth of a second for Rydell ahead of his teammate Ivan Muller. Great drive from him in the Vauxhall for 3rd. Matt Neal, the independent, 2nd row. Have to be happy with that. James Thompson 5th, Anthony Reid 6th. They won't be quite so happy. Jason Plato in the thick of it, as I said, on the grid, 7th. Tarquini alongside of him in 8th place. Tom Christensen, he'll do better than that, I reckon, don't you? In 9th position, he's bound to pick up Rademacher alongside. Then Blair, Morrison, Kay, who we had a chat to on the grid, Mark Lemmer, and Norden, who has finally had his car fixed. Mark Norden had a lot of trouble in qualifying, put the thing into the wall, and they've somehow rebuilt his Class B Nissan in time for today.
Yes, a lot of work for the team. Literally got here on Saturday morning, and within a few laps the car was in the tyre barriers out at Stirling's Bend, and I should say I know that corner rather well. I've got painful memories of it from way back in 1973, but now much more runoff. But of course, once you get into the gravel, it's literally your race is over.
Yeah, he must have been a popular boy, Mr. Norden. They just built that car just in time for qualifying. Brand new car in his first go. Now here's the view from Ricard Rydell's car, and that's a view he won't want during the race, John Watson, because that's Menu ahead of him.
Yes, it's going to be a battle between the two lead 4 drivers. Anthony Reid further back on the grid, but I think with Ricard Rydell coming into the Ford team, it's added so much experience and also sort of a sense of Scandinavian tranquility. He's such a phlegmatic character, and nothing seems to faze him. And certainly the team, in terms of development and testing this winter, have got a very, very competitive car, really showing the potential we expected more maybe last year and didn't see.
We've got to be very careful here. Well, Alain Menu has to be very careful here on the start, because as you can see from our camera angle there, it's quite an uphill climb. And pole position here, which is Alain Menu in the foreground, is downhill, and he's got the steepest climb of all. So although he starts in front of Ricard Rydell, getting the start right is critically important.
Well, I just wonder how much Rydell really wanted the pole position, because of the nature of the topography of the circuit at that point. Being on the outside gives him a better run and certainly less camber, and hopefully he might see the benefits.
Well, we will know in a moment. They're just getting ready. The last of the back markers has formed up now. They're ready to start. Second now, the lights on the left-hand side of the screen. We'll see them go red in a minute. There they do, and the revs come up with them. Ready for a start, everyone on the rev limiter, and they're away, and Ricard Rydell's made a great start, dancing behind, right behind Alain Menu. Right on the outside of him, Ivan Muller is going very well as well, side by side, 4th position. Matt Neal just held. Well, that's a good start for Menu, that's what he needed. Ricard Rydell on the left-hand side of the screen, Muller pressing very hard. Muller has just cut the nose off. So Matt Neal, all round to it safely for the first time, are they? Yes, the Class B runners gathering them up. Cracking start for Menu, really, really needed to keep Rydell at bay.
He did a great job on that sort of slightly adverse side of the track. Ricard Rydell did not have a good start, and he's under pressure from Ivan Muller coming into Surtees.
Big touch there. Somebody got clipped by one of the Hondas turning into Surtees. That's a bad place, lose momentum. Meantime, this is really working out for Alain Menu, streaking ahead, jockeying for position down the middle of that very, very, very fast straight now. That's Colin Blair, the last of the independent runners. Side by side, a whole gaggle of Vauxhall. There's Jason Plato, Anthony Reid on the inside of him, Tom Christensen on the outside of him. Meantime, that's Ivan Muller now really moving up onto the back of Ricard Rydell, trying to put him under pressure. And here they go through Dingledale, race pace for the first time. 3 abreast won't go through Dingledale. Christensen there just sorting himself out behind Reid. All the time that's happening, Alain Menu opening up a gap.
The big loser in that opening lap was Matt Neal. He got tagged as he came into Surtees, and all of a sudden what everybody had been predicting, that he was going to be completely engulfed in a sea of Hondas, and he's dropped back from 4th place all the way back down now to 7th.
Alain Menu, meantime, streaking ahead. Ivan Muller is very much in touch alongside Ricard Rydell, though. There's Rydell, there's Muller, there's James Thompson. That was Tarquini behind James Thompson. Then Matt Neal, the independent runner, who has lost a couple of places. There they are. There's our top 6 runners. Menu from Rydell, then Muller, then Thompson, Tarquini, and Matt Neal rounds out the top 6.
Well, James Thompson really having a tough time here this weekend, but certainly beginning to show why he is so highly rated, up into 5th place, ahead of Tarquini, his teammate, and the most favoured Honda driver right now, in fact, is the Dane Tom Christensen.
He's got a little bit of work to do because this wasn't his best qualifying, but he hasn't lost any time. And Menu, meantime, is really making it work for him. Ricard Rydell obviously decided at the start of that, interestingly, just to dart in behind Alain Menu and leave it at that, not try to challenge.
And he's certainly not able to challenge, and he's under great pressure. Ivan Muller fills the mirrors of the Ford Mondeo, and you know, looking for any opportunity. Here's one coming up at Westfield.
Yeah, really side by side. Ivan Muller ducks down the inside. They're pushing 100 miles an hour there, and Ivan Muller is pushing Ricard Rydell through the process. Those cars are absolutely rocking on their suspension through. There's the view from Muller's car through Dingle Dell. Now this is Sterling, a left-hand corner, still pretty quick, down a couple of gears, putting on the power. He's really, really rapid out of there. What can he do? He's right on the bootleg.
Well, Muller's going to just prepare himself. He'll not try to pass into clearways, but he will try to make a pass into paddock. He's just got to get a clean exit out of clearways, pick up the draft of Rydell's Ford and try and shoot, but I think the gap's too big at the present.
Just trying so hard. Can he reach? Rydell is still on the racing line. Muller held the inside line a little bit. Here's Paddock Hill Bend sorting the car out, down the Big Dipper. Oh, you can even feel it watching. The world falls from under you down there. And now putting him under pressure again into Druids Corner, the second gear corner. This is part of the old circuit. This is working for Tarquini as well and Thompson, because in the Hondas they are staying in touch.
Yes, we've got really a train of 5 or 6 cars all backed up behind Ricard Rydell, and Alain Menu there you can see pulling out a gap almost 3 seconds as he goes into Surtees.
So there's Thompson, Tarquini, that was Matt Neal having a look down the inside. Rademacher, the last of those Vauxhalls there, bringing up the rear of the work squad. So here, Rydell, then Muller right behind him, then Thompson, Tarquini, there's Matt Neal, he's coming under some pressure from Jason Plato. Christensen down the back of that pack. Just that right-hander there, so quickly they arrive in there. Now here's Westfield, where Muller had a chance last time around. He had a lunge, they're on board with Matt Neal. Right ahead of us is Tarquini. We're going down the Dipper now. And ahead of us, right there, is Dingle Dell. Not a place to pass, Woody.
Not at all, and really, I mean, Matt Neal's view of the corner totally obscured by Tarquini's Honda, and you've got to be very precise going through Dingle Dell. The curbs on the inside really can throw the car up in the air and offline. But Matt Neal, having lost that 4th place, getting tagged in the opening lap, really now paying the penalty and just isn't able to find anywhere to get past Tarquini.
There's a whole midfield gaggle there. There's Tarquini, Matt Neal right behind him. And Jason Plato tanking onto that lot as well, hoping to capitalise. There's Christensen, and there's Rademacher, the last of our works runners. And as predicted, it is close racing. They are really, really tightly bunched.
Yeah, it's good to see that the field, small but very well put together, is very competitive. Ricard Rydell holding up, in effect, the 7 cars that are running in this train of cars, allowing Menu to get the benefit of clear track and really drive the race he wants to drive.
I'll tell you what, he'll definitely be on Alain Menu's Christmas card list at the moment, providing an enormous service for him, because Menu is just galloping off into the distance. That's Surtees Corner, they're all filtering around there. Now, there's the gap. Alain Menu having a Sunday drive all on his own.
But just keep an eye, Matt Neal right up on the back. In fact,
he's actually just snuck past, and he's now coming into some pressure from Plato. Plato's hooked onto the bumper of that. Then it's Tarquini, then Plato, Tarquini right behind Plato. Absolutely airborne. Ivan Muller looks spectacular through Dingle Dell there, as he did in qualifying.
Yeah, you're going to see lots of that from a Muller all the way through this race, and he just takes curb. He doesn't mind if a curb's there. He'll just deal with it once he's gone over it. But certainly very spectacular indeed.
Down through Clearways Corner. Now they go through this corner much more quickly than they do on the short circuit, because they have that big, long downhill run at it. The cars are absolutely motoring along here, and the end result means that their terminal speed right here at the top of Paddock Hill Bend is even higher.
Yeah, it's about 130 miles an hour. They're reaching just before the break, down to 4th gear for that Paddock Hill Bend. And Paddock Hill Bend is like trying to jump off the north face of the Eiger. It is that steep. It doesn't show it so much on camera, but believe me, in a car, it is a very, very severe drop.
And they're trying to pass each other as well. They're trying to jockey for position, makes life particularly difficult. And at the bottom of Paddock Hill, the suspension is so compressed.
Yeah, that compression really pushes the driver right into the seat. And if a car isn't actually in the right condition, and when it hits that bump, the back end can suddenly just get away from you. So it's a corner that you've got to be very precise and make sure you're consistent each time you go through.
The fastest part of the circuit, just on that dip there. The car's nudging 140 miles an hour. There's Gabriele Tarquini. Great to have him back in the series. He loves this circuit. I was talking to him before the race this morning. Thinks it's absolutely terrific fun. Tarquini, then right behind him, Anthony Reid. There's new boy Christensen. We expect to see him further up the track as the race goes on. Meantime, Matt Neal cannot shake that Plato fellow. He's really bringing him under pressure. Jason Plato there in the Vauxhall, looking for a way round. That's Sterling, the left-hander. Matt Neal, the independent, right up there with the works guys in the Nissan. He really should be capitalising a bit more on this car, Waddy, so early in the series.
Yes, they're very confident. They've got a super car. They've got to make the best of it in the early part of the year because the factory teams will progress and develop. But he's now behind James Thompson. I think it may have been Thompson that tagged him initially in that opening lap, so Matt may not be looking to take too many prisoners here with Thompson.
Yeah, that definitely wasn't in the script. Matt Neal, second on the second row of the grid, I should say. There he is. There's a shot of him at work. He's a very big boy, and he likes to sit very, very close to the wheel as well. Doesn't look comfortable, does it?
It's a strange driving position, but just touring cars, you've got to make compromises, and Matt, 6'10" or something tall, he hasn't got too many options.
This fella's got all the options in the world. Alain Menu, look at the gap. Rydell, then Muller, then Thompson. That was Matt Neal having a look down the inside. Plato, then it's Tarquini, Reid, Christensen. And there is Vincent Rademacher. He's no slouch either, still pretty much in touch. And he is the new
Vincent Rademacher, somebody who I think really ought to have achieved more than he's so far done in his career. A very, very talented guy. You might say he's Belgium's version to Switzerland's Alain Menu. He's got that mentality as well as the ability and skill.
But was he, like Tom Christensen, voted motorsport driver of the century?
In Denmark maybe, but Christensen also extremely highly rated. He has also got a Grand Prix testing contract for the Michelin Formula 1 tyre. So a very, very versatile driver indeed.
And Dingledell very punishing on the cars during the race. The cars absolutely leap across there on their blitzing qualifying laps, and they're going almost as hard across it as the race progresses. There's Christensen, then Rademacher right behind him. Alain Menu, meantime, he's pretty much driving this to his own pace, not opening out any more of a gap, I guess, conserving the car.
Yeah, I mean, he's running just about a second and a half, in fact, off his current pace.
Here's the shot of Plato, and he's trying to get a hold of Matt Neal's car. Matt Neal's run a little bit wide there as we come up into Druids. Plato's not beyond having a look down the inside there. He doesn't take prisoners. He's as close as you like. Menu, Rydell, Muller, Thompson. Then this is the battle for 5th and 6th. Neal, and we are on board the number 6 driver, Jason Plato, and he's right on the boot lid. This is bottom bend, and now the back straight behind the pits. Coming up into Surtees, and he's having a big look into Surtees, trying to give Matt Neal a little bit of a help up the hill, and didn't help himself in the process.
No, he lost momentum, getting too close to Matt Neal under brakes into Surtees. So Plato, you can see he's dropped back a little bit, but that's just, he's putting pressure. He's trying to distract Matt Neal, who's focusing ahead of him on James Thompson. Plato wants to distract Matt Neal to give him the chance to take that 5th place.
Anthony Reid looks as though he's being a little bit held up there as well by Tarquini. This is really booked. There he is now. There's Rydell with Muller right behind him. Then Thompson. Now here's that scrap for 5th and 6th place. Matt Neal there leaping across the curb, and Plato trying to leap into his boot lid. And then the last 4 absolutely glued together. That's Tarquini, that's Reid. Behind Reid is Christensen, and then it's Rademacher, and they're welded together.
And this little battle that's taking place, it's 4th, 5th, 6th and 7th. And it is going to get more heated. They can't get very much closer, but it's going to come down to who can preserve their tyres. This is a 14-lap race, so by the time they get into the last 3 or 4, particularly the left front, but also, ironically here, the right rear will be on the limit.
We'll talk about getting close. Waddy, have a look at that. Jason Plato really pressuring Matt Neal. Matt Neal moves to the inside to try to cover. Coming up into Druids, Neal's darted across to the inside. He's held him out. There he is, Plato welding himself, trying to find a tow bar hitch. Down into the bottom bend now. That's a really difficult place to pass. He'll slow himself up.
But also we're now getting into the lapping of the back markers, the Class B cars. There's the first of them.
Plato really putting himself under pressure. A puff of smoke there. I think he might have overclubbed it.
Well, it's just, you know, you're looking to take advantage of a slower car, at the same time not get trapped, and that's going to be a problem. look at the field. Now you've got Super Tourers Class B mixed up together, and they've got the two Honda Integras and the Peugeot 306 of Alan Morrison, who's currently leading Class B, up ahead.
Yeah, that was James Kay that we just passed. We chatted with him on the grid. And meantime, there goes Rickard Rydell trying to hold out James Thompson. This is getting very, very busy indeed. Now we're on board with Plato again, and ahead of us is Matt Neal. Matt is half a car ahead. That's not as good as he wanted to be. There's been some really real compression in that field ahead because Matt Neal is being held up enormously by James Thompson. His run out of the corner has been delayed. Now side by side down the back straight, Matt Neal's on the right-hand side. This is a really difficult place to pass. He's going to have to give best. Neal holds it, ducks to the inside through clearways. They're going very, very quickly at this point. Matt Neal's around here somewhere. Where is he? He's behind us. Through.
Yeah, great pass from Plato. He started that maneuver all the way back in Stirling's, took a totally different line to Matt Neal, and he made the pass on the exit of clearways. Now that's a good racer driving. That's brains, understanding your car and using it to the best effect.
Now all those shenanigans, I should say, between James Thompson and Rickard Rydell kind of caused that because there was a bit of a sort of a concertina effect, really put Matt off his stride.
He goes in that three-car line coming into Stirling's, but it was clear that Plato really understood what was happening, went way out to the right, then made a very tight cut back, got alongside Matt Neal as they went into clearways. Matt was on the inside. He then ran wide on the exit of clearways, and Jason just drove up the inside and took that 5th place away.
Yeah, it was all about looking ahead, wasn't it? Actually trying to anticipate and giving himself the room. As you can see, momentum is so critically important with these cars. Balk yourself and it's all over. Speaking of balking yourself, it looks as though Christensen and Tarquini have done that because Tarquini has really lost out. He was ahead of that gaggle. Now it's Reed with Christensen, and Tarquini is the 3rd placed Honda, and he is now trying to fight off a challenge from Vincent Rademacher. It's all going south.
Well, I think that's partly due to the fact that they had to lap those Class B cars. And with so many Super Tourers all together and shuffling around looking for the bit of track that was clear, some of them got caught out.
Traffic tactics are going to be everything in this race. Some of these guys are much better at it than others. Jason Plato, obviously one of them. Watty, who else do you rate as somebody who's good at weaving their way through?
Well, I think Jason and James Thompson ought to be pretty much the class of the field in this particular sphere of motor racing. But I think with Jason in a Vauxhall, really, he's a sort of a Vauxhall lad at heart, isn't he? I mean, he's just one with this car, and it seems to fit into his whole style and driving technique.
Yeah, he doesn't drive it, he swaggers it, and it does work very well for him. We saw the lap board a couple of moments ago with Alain Menu 3.5 seconds ahead. Now we're on board with Thompson, and here is Rickard Rydell. Rydell was in 2nd place in the Ford. He's already lost his place to Ivan Muller. Muller in the Vauxhall is up into 2nd place. You can see Muller in the distance, and now dead ahead of James Thompson. Almost beside James Thompson is Rickard Rydell in the Ford. Thompson having a bit of a look, but he's under pressure.
Yes, Thompson tried to slip up, just put the nose of the Honda inside the Ford Mondeo, but Rydell just had enough track space to close the door. But you can see Rydell really is in trouble by the distance that Muller has managed to pull out in the space of just over a lap.
Yeah, Rickard was driving defensively, working very hard, did a great job to hold them up for as long as he did, and I guess deliberately or inadvertently helping his teammate Alain Menu into the process. This is round Westfields, down the dip now. Here is Dingledell. As you can see, they can't see a thing until there when the car comes into land. Now Rydell has to keep this tight. Stirling's left-hander, and look ahead, Watty. Trouble ahead. There are cars to pass.
Class B cars, there are 2 of them there, the 2 Honda Integras running nose to tail, one Accord, one Integra, and that's what caused the mix-up we saw a couple of laps ago. Thompson will look to try and use that to get past Rydell, and really now it's Jason Plato behind James Thompson. There you see all 3 of them. Look at them.
This is very cozy. They've all weaved their way through so far. That's Reed. Right beside him is Thompson. Sorry, that was Rydell, rather. Right beside him, Thompson. As close as you like. Plato in there as well. Menu first, as we know. Muller 2nd, Rydell 3rd. And James Thompson in 4th place in the Honda. Plato in 5th. And Matt Neal still rounding out the 6th. That's very, very busy now through Bottom Bend.
That's a real mess for the Super Tourers. They just don't want to be slowed up by these 3 cars. There are 2 of them there. In fact, the 2 Hondas having their own battle in Class B.
And Rademacher slipping through there. Just got past Tarquini.
Yep, again, traffic was the reason for that. Tarquini a little bit apprehensive. Rademacher took the opportunity, put his car on the piece of track, and once he was there, he wasn't going to give it up.
And you've got to pay the Class B guys their points. They're having a very, very, very tough battle between themselves. Oh, and there's a spinner and a half. That's Tarquini. Is it now? It's James Thompson. James Thompson, a big spin and a great save. And trying to pick up position again. Reed just slipped past him.
I'd like to see a replay of that, because either Thompson dropped the left rear off the track or somebody helped him do that, but certainly he got it completely sideways. Interestingly, he never lifted his foot, he just buried it, got the wheels spinning, got the car straightened up, but of course dropped back in our 3 positions.
Well, he is Mr. Car Control, as we know, but that's really shuffled the pack and compressed it at that. 2 of the Class B runners, and there's James Kay coming under some pretty big pressure from his teammate Mark Lemmer, as down through clearways we go again, and the pack tries to sort itself out. This guy Christensen just won't go away in that Honda. He's working his way further and further up the field. Okay, there's Ricard Rydell, there is Jason Plato, there's Anthony Reid, then there's Thompson, then there's Christensen, and the rest of them. They're as close as you like, and here's your replay, Watty.
That's got to be somebody target, yes. I think may have been Anthony Reid, might have been the culprit there, or just simply James has worn out the left rear and let the car get away. But there, well, I was going to say that looked like a whole load of tire smoke, but I think we're back with the action.
Well, they were really, really on it. They're going so quickly through there. As you said, 5th gear, really, really fast corner. It's quite a big save. I mean, Alain Menu seems to be not as far away from Ivan Muller, perhaps, as he'd like. There's Alan Morrison, the lead Class B car, meantime. There's Rydell, 3rd place in the Super Tourers. There's Plato, worked his way up into 4th. Then there's Reid, then there's Thompson, then Christensen, and that was Matt Neal, and the rest of them, Rademacher and Tarquini, who has been working his way back through the field throughout the course of this race.
And it's all back to a battle for that 2nd place in effect. But Alan Morrison in the Class B car, he's out in a race in his own. He's got a 17.5-second lead over James Kay.
Matt Neal's headaches won't go away. That's Rademacher now giving him some real pressure. Rademacher trying to have a look down as they dip towards Dingledell. Not a place to pass. Rademacher very spectacular. There is Tarquini, who's not going so well. Lost a couple of places. A little bit of bad luck for him. Matt Neal coming under big pressure meantime from Rademacher.
Matt Neal dropped back at that opening lap and really he's never recovered. Got back up to the back of James Thompson, but that other shuffle then sees him drop back. And Rademacher and Tarquini really giving him a hard workout.
Race leader by a shrinking margin. Only 2 laps left in this race, but there is Alain Menu in the Ford. Maybe he's preserving his tyres, taking life easy, but Ivan Muller is as close as he'd want to be.
Well, Muller keeps putting in his personal fastest lap. He's just done it on the last lap, 1:29.2, and that's over half a second quicker than Alain Menu's last lap, and you can see that Muller really running down. Again, just a little bit of smoke as he came.
There once again was Tarquini having a look down the inside of Matt Neal. Matt Neal must be having some sort of a problem. I think he's slipping back through the field this way. There's Christensen, he's having a good day. Rademacher just getting past Morrison. Then there's Matt Neal, who's slipped back another spot just in front of Tarquini. I tell you what, that Class B car's actually got some squirt in the straight line.
That's a very good car, the 306, of course, 6-speed gearbox, 2-litre engine. It really is right now the class of the Class B field, and we look forward to see many more coming and joining in these touring car rounds when there's no conflicting events with the National Saloon Car Championship.
Now there is a big conflicting event on your screen because it's Matt Neal trying somehow to hold Tarquini off, and it's not working. That's a defensive line. Tarquini looking down the inside at Sterling, trying to find a way around, can't do it. That's the last left-hander before the downhill run. There he is again, that battle. That Tarquini just won't leave him alone. And there's Morrison, the lead Class B car, also making his way down the hill. Alain Menu, there's our lead car meantime, and he's on his last lap. Muller is running out of time.
Yes, he's got a second of a gap between finishing second and winning this race, but of course getting past Alain Menu on the last lap, I would say, will be the toughest task that Muller will have here this afternoon.
So it's a Ford in the lead, then it's a Vauxhall right behind him, and it's a Vauxhall that's closing. Muller will be very, very encouraged by this performance, and he'll be thinking to himself, if I had got past Rydell just that little bit earlier, maybe I'd have caught this fellow. There's the view ahead.
Well, Muller is somebody who's always been a dark horse and given a competitive car, and he was very happy this morning. I asked him, was the car a bit like last year? He said, no, it's a lot better, and this is the result.
Up into Hawthorne, very, very quick. This is the part of the circuit where James Thompson had that big spin a moment ago and recovered. Down through Westfields. Slightly off camber, tricky part of the circuit, down the dip, up to Dingledell for the last time. One more leap, one more shot into the dark. Car's still getting very light, even on a race lap like this. And then you've obviously got this under control. That's really the second last corner, only clearways down the hill, and he's got to hold him off to the finish.
Yeah, pretty much everything now in Alain Menu's favour, though. You know, we can see easily in these last corners that you can make a mistake, but cleanly out of clearways and onto the line.
Well, they have to pay Alain Menu the point. He's been very quick in testing, and he's crossed the line, and he's taken the win. Alain Menu for Ford. He's been quick in testing. He qualified in pole position. Copybook stuff. Led from start to finish. Ivan Muller right behind him in second place. Muller will be well pleased as well. Pulls up alongside Menu. Congratulating, give him a wave. a pretty good drive. Ricard Rydell, 3rd position in the Ford, then Jason Plato, 4th position in the Vauxhall.
Domination from Alain Menu, the man who loves this Grand Prix circuit at Brands Hatch, and a superlative drive from Menu in his 2nd season in this superstar Ford team, and clearly stamping his seal of championship hopes this afternoon in this sprint race.
Well, Muller must be, there he is now, he must be hungry for lunch. He's darted off into the distance, isn't following Menu back, he's just going back as quickly as he can. Looks very composed, very relaxed, Woody.
He's an amazing guy. He's so on like a racing driver. He just, you know, you meet him, talk to him, but once he's in a car, he is 100% raw racing driver. And having come from a winter of ice and snow racing in Europe, his skills for slippery, low-grip tracks are as finely honed as anybody's.
Well, we couldn't have hoped for a race more close. Only 0.8 of a second he finished behind the winner, Alain Menu. Very successful driver. And he'll have learned a little bit this afternoon. He won't have been as new to this Grand Prix circuit as Alain Menu.
Well, it'll be interesting to see what happens when we go into the feature race. Of course, we've got a little bit more to think about in that with pit stops, the mandatory pit stop for the Super Tourers. Again, the car is not allowed to use tyre warmers to warm the tyres up, so lots of little subtle changes taking place in this year's regulations.
So confirming the results, Alain Menu in a Ford, 1st place. Ivan Muller, Vauxhall, right behind him. Ricard Rydell, Ford in 3rd place. Jason Plato, 4th in Vauxhall. Anthony Reid, 5th in a Ford. And a Honda, James Thompson, rounding out the top 6. That's pretty fair. Everyone gets a prize. Just pulling in now. Scrutineering, critically important. This is not the time you want to fail the way.
Now, all the little details about just carrying the right weight, and of course weight is used as ballast. The cars will have to carry ballast, but also fuel is used as a ballast as well. So if you do your sums incorrectly and just don't put enough fuel in place of the ballast that you could have carried, that could be an expensive mistake.
Now, what's Ricard Rydell got to learn from this afternoon, from that 1st race? Because he pretty much had the pace in qualifying and in the opening lap, but he didn't seem to be able to hold the race pace.
He didn't. First of all, it went wrong at the start, and I would be sort of inclined to think that whatever was wrong at the start was affecting him all the way through. He certainly never showed the pace that Menu had, and really he was driving defensively to keep Muller behind him, but inevitably Muller was just too powerful, too strong, and once he got ahead of Rydell, he then just ran up to the back of the Ford of Menu. In fact, if this guy had managed to get past Rydell into the Paddock Hill Bend, we may well have seen a different overall result, because certainly a very strong performance indeed from Muller.
Yeah, he looked very calm indeed. James Thompson just having a debrief from the team. He won't be happy with that result.
I think that it's as well we're just seeing the pictures, not hearing the words. I don't think James will be over the moon, though. I think he'll feel that he was capable of a better result, but there he goes. He got me in that Hawthorne corner. You can see there are the hands telling us the story.
Yeah, but wasn't that great? I caught it. Now, here's a fellow that looks pretty happy as well. He didn't catch it. He caught the entire race result. Alain Menu, and he's in the pit lane with Mark Fogarty.
Yes, Charlie. In fact, a very happy-looking Alain Menu. Alain, that looked so easy. It was almost a Sunday drive.
I mean, what can I say? The Ford Mondeo is going really well. I can only be thankful to ProDrive. You know, they've done a really good job all over the winter, and we have improved the car massively. And I think we've just proved that we probably have the best car today. So a fantastic result. It's a great way to start the championship.
It is indeed a radical transformation for this car. Where have you made the gains?
Well, a little bit in the engine and a little bit on the chassis. And we always knew that, you know, there was no reason the Ford should not be up there at the front, and we put right what was wrong last year, and like I said, now we've just proved that the Mondeo is a really good car.
Well done, Alain. A hot start to the British Touring Car Championship. Okay, we're now just going to move across and go to Ivan Muller, the 2nd place man. Probably got trapped in the early stages behind Ricard Rydell. We'll find out. Ivan, well done. Race. But for about the first half of the race, you seemed like you were trapped behind Rydell. Was that the case?
Yeah, it was the case. He was better on some corner. I was better, especially than him. I take the chance on this left corner. I knew it was only the only possibility to me to overtake him there.
Obviously a very pleasing start, a big improvement in form for the Vauxhall.
Yeah, it's a big improvement, and I think it's because all the team has worked well, but we can still progress. We have still a lot of potential.
Well done. I'm sure you'll be giving them hell in the next race. Okay, now we'll find Ricard Rydell, the former champion. He's just standing over here. Ricard, that's not a bad start. Your new career with Ford?
No, it's good. I mean, the team ProDrive and Ford has worked really hard over the winter. Cars are really on the pace. I'm really happy to be up with Alan and Anthony is on their pace, and we just think we can work a little bit better from here.
Well, in the early stage of the race, you were doing a good job there running defence for Alain, holding out the pack, but you couldn't hold out Muller forever.
No, they seem to be very consistent, so we need to change the setup of our cars and hopefully make them better for the second race.
Are you surprised how well the Ford's going so quickly?
I am in a way. I mean, the new car is very good, this year's car, so, but there's still time to find in the car, so we just need to work a little bit harder for a couple of weeks at Donington and see if it can be better on the race run.
Thanks, Ricard Rydell. So there they were, 1, 2 and 3 in the opening round.
Congratulations to our winner, Alain Menu, and to Ivan Muller. Watch for him. There's a feature race this afternoon. He will be feeling well confident. Alain Menu, Ivan Muller, Ricard Rydell, first, second and third place. Join us later on this afternoon for the feature race at Brands Hatch.